Diego Pacheco stepped up his level of competition last night, got into the ring with Steven Nelson, and he came out with a unanimous decision. Now, it wasn't all that unexpected. Going into this one, he was like a 4-1 favorite. He's 23 years old, 6'4" with the long reach. Steven Nelson's like 36 years old. He's only fought one time a year for the last few years. He had some injuries that he came off of. He had some things outside the ring going on. It wasn't exactly a surprise that Pacheco came out with the victory in this one. He was supposed to. It's what people expected. Even in the pre-fight build-up coming up to this one, Steven Nelson said, he's like, look, man, if this guy were to take a loss, he's 23 years old. He's got the huge fan base. He's going to be able to bounce back. He's going to make it. Me, I'm 36. I'm from Omaha, Nebraska. This is my last shot. Right? So it just indicates that you could see there's an A side and a B side in boxing, man. Diego Pacheco was the A side. He did what he was supposed to do. He came out with the victory. But here's the thing. It's not always about what happened tonight. It's not about what happened yesterday. A lot of times when you see these fights, it's about what's to happen next. What are we going to see in the future from this guy? Because Pacheco goes out there, he beats Steven Nelson. This isn't a world championship fight. This isn't where he sees himself at the end of the game. It wasn't the biggest payday. So what's this the build-up for? What's it lead to? I think it's the WBO that's got him ranked number 1. We got other organizations that got him ranked number 5. Basically, everybody's got him ranked in the top 10. But 168 pounds is no joke, man. We all know the guy who's at the top, Canelo. I don't think Canelo has even the slightest bit of interest in fighting this dude. None whatsoever. He isn't going to get a payday. He isn't going to get anything big on his legacy. He doesn't see Diego Pacheco all of a sudden going over and being some world beater in the future where he's like, hey, before this guy gets too dangerous, let me go ahead and get his name on my resume. There's none of that going on here. Okay? So for Diego Pacheco, he wants to get in there with the best of the best and get all the glory and all everything at 168. It's going to be a little bit of a grind for him. After the fight, he comes out and he says, I want anybody who's ahead of me. I want anybody who's in the top 5. I'm ranked. I'm ready. I'm here to go. But let's think about that for a second. We know a fighter's supposed to say that. We get all that. But is this guy really ready? What do you think's going to happen? He steps in there with Caleb Plant. What do you think's going to happen? He steps in there with Edgar Berlanga. What do you think's going to happen? He steps in there. What are they going to give him to next? They're going to stick him in there with another old guy like Derevyanchenko, former world champion? Believe it or not, it'd probably be a good fight for him. You know, that's the type of thing you need to see because Pacheco needs to get better. He's solid, man. He's got a lot of things that you can like about him. He's got a lot of things that give you that feeling of potential and that one day he's going to be there. He's not a top 5 guy yet. I don't care what the WBO or the WBC or ESPN or the Ring magazine. I don't care what anybody ranks this guy. Okay? He's not beating Canelo. He's not beating Berlanga. He's not beating Caleb Plant. He's just not going to go out there and win these fights. Could he beat Jaime Munguia on Munguia's best day? I know we saw him out there last time he got caught with the right hand by Saras, but prior to that, look at what he did in the fight with Canelo. Look at what he did in fights before that. If Munguia is training, he's locked in, he's at his best, how's he going to do against that? Because the thing is, at 168 pounds, you got guys who can crack. You got guys who can punch, guys who are aggressive, particularly when you're talking about some of these young guys. And they're strong, they're going to be motivated, they're coming in. Pacheco isn't really good at stopping people's aggression. He's got a nice little left hook that he uses, broke it out a few times against Nelson. He's got a nice uppercut that he uses, broke that out a few times as well. We've seen him get guys out of there with it in the past, but he's not going to be able to get out the top guys with that shot, just like he couldn't get Nelson out of there. And if he can't stop people from closing that distance on him, if he's not able to fully utilize that height and that reach that he has, and he starts letting guys get inside, working behind a double and a triple jab, getting to the body, coming up strong with those overhand rights, he's not going to make it. So before he steps in there against anybody like that, before all of a sudden he takes this little bit of build that he's gotten to go, right? Because this was his first main event. He's just starting to build. As he's starting to build, all of a sudden you stick him in there with some young, hungry assassin, man, it's going to be over with, man. Not to mention the fact that I wonder how much confidence he has. You know, as things start to progress and build and you see more results and the things that you work on in the gym start to come out under the bright lights, guys get more confidence. I don't know how confident Diego Pacheco is. He's been able to go out there and do a lot, and he's got good power, and he's been able to get guys out of there for the most part. But all of a sudden he steps in against Nelson, and look, before that cut happened in the 4th round, Steven Nelson was able to see some success in there. I didn't think he was necessarily winning the fight, but it was after that cut that everything changed. He gets the cut, the blood starts coming in his eye. He's in the post-fight saying, I'm starting to see yellow. I prepared for everything, couldn't prepare for that. And that's all of a sudden when everything changed. All of a sudden, Pacheco starts to find his rhythm a little bit because Nelson, he's off a little. He's not quite landing the way he wants to. He's not coming in as aggressively as he is. He probably can't see the shots coming back as much. And that's all of a sudden when you started to see that turn. But what happens if he wouldn't have got that cut? I don't know. These are all interesting things. He's got a good team behind him. He's got David Benavidez helping him out there in training camp, obviously sparring with him, things like that. So he's got the potential, it appears, to all of a sudden be able to come out there and do something maybe. But I'm not seeing it yet when we're talking about him competing against the best in the world at 168 pounds. That being said, he's only 23 years old, so he doesn't have to get in there yet. I hope this team doesn't rush him. Look, Eddie Hearn has been criticized up and down for being unable to build a star, being unable to build anybody who's big, taking guys and just, boom, derailing their career through poor decisions, right? Sometimes it's just fellow promoters trying to talk crazy and crack jokes on them. Sometimes it's really true when you look at the way that this man handled people's careers. So it'll be interesting to see how this one goes. Maybe Diego Pacheco is somebody one day. Maybe they rush him too fast and he gets his head torn off by somebody at 168 pounds with that grown man strength and that grown man experience who wants to go in there and get after one of these young dudes. So, let me know what you guys think. How'd you think about the early part of the fights? What'd you think after that cut when Pacheco was able to start to get his rhythm and land his shots? How do you think that style and the way that he does things is going to be able to translate against some of these other guys? Because I can't get over the fact that I don't like the way that he handles it when somebody comes in aggressive, starts to get after it. Like, he's going to get backed up. He's going to get hit with shots. I don't think that's going to work out well for him. So let me know what you guys think. Am I criticizing him a little bit too much? Maybe you think that Steven Nelson was a far better fighter than a lot of people thought. So the fact that Pacheco was able to go out there and get that win really means a lot. What's for him in the future? Who do you think he matches up well or poorly against? Let me know what you guys think.